has come in. Even though my ship is broken, even though the sail is torn, my ship has come in. Oh, my ship has come in. Ooh, had problems all in my life. Don't know how I stayed alive. Took my life on deeper seas. Didn't think I would survive. Then I called on Jesus, yes I did. Out on the stormy seas, He placed me on calmer waters, next to my destiny. Oh, and now I'm so glad about it. I know I can't live without Him, because He rescued me from the stormy seas and brought my ship in. Oh, my ship has come in. Has come in. Even though my ship is broken, even though the sail is torn, my ship has come in. My ship has come in. Oh, every time I think about God's goodness and how I could have been left at sea alone. My friends, they passed me as the waves grew taller. Didn't seem to care at all. And then I called on Jesus, yes I did. Out on the stormy seas, He placed me on calmer waters, next to my destiny. Oh, and now I'm so glad about it. I know I can't live without Him, because He rescued me from the stormy sea and brought my ship in. Oh, battle and bruise you've been through, the storms of life, the test of times. Just keep swimming for the beaches. You can make it on broken pieces. My ship has come in. Has come in. Even though my ship is broken, even though the sail is torn, my ship has come in. My ship, yes, has come in. My ship has come in.
Howdy!
Lisette, you're muted. There we go. I love the start.
Howdy! Well, well,
Lisette, you're
well.
still muted.
I am. What about now? Can you hear me now?
Lisette, you gotta unmute.
Unmute, unmute, unmute. Don't compute. Unmute, don't compute.
Uh
Oh,
oh.
you
It's
got
not
me.
letting you unmute. Nope, you're still muted.
Oh,
There we go.
there we go.
We've got you. Hey, I
Howdy!
love it.
Howdy. Looks like I was muted this morning. But look, well, maybe ain't supposed to say nothing. But anyway, look, thank you for coming on Rise with Lisette Live Talk Show. Sponsored by Kiana Productions. I love to say that. That's so fun. I enjoy saying that. But hey, I thank you for joining the show this morning. And God is really good. And you know what? It's a beautiful day. You know, I want to thank my team, Kiani Productions, and all the cast back there working behind the scenes.
It's only me. They ain't working. I'm the only one working.
You
You can
blew it.
thank
See,
everybody, but
you
I'm the
messed
only
the
one
whole
working.
thing up. You messed it up.
Two things. I always have to remind you that you and Patti LaBelle are my two favorite hollers of all time, which is great.
Thank you.
And what was the song today?
Well, the song is called My Ship, and it talks about how that we go through things in life and we feel like we're out in like life feels like being out on a ship in the ocean all by yourself. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says that, you know, how that Paul, they got captured out, overturned out at sea, and but some of them made it on broken pieces. Sometimes we gotta make it on broken pieces. We might go through some things in life, but you know what? You can still make it on broken pieces today. You can get that song on Spotify and YouTube and Amazon. Just search Lisette My Ship. All right. So
You,
look, how's everybody been doing? How's the weekend been going? You had a good weekend?
the weekend has been great. What you just said about broken pieces reminds me of I try to do this, it's hard. Anytime I'm kind of going through something, sometimes I sit back and go, you know what? Somebody's got it worse. Somebody's got it worse today than what I got it. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but um, at some low points, in my life, it's crazy how how the universe works, how God works. Is I could be having one of the worst days of my life, and not to poke light at this, but I can see someone who has a mental retardation or a really really big physical ailment, and I'm like, you know what? Not to say there's something wrong with that person, but that could be me. I'm over here feeling sorry for myself as I have two normal legs that I could walk with, two normal hands that I can use, you know. And so sometimes we just take a step back and go, you know what? I may not have it that bad.
That is so true. I absolutely agree. I mean, because there are people that's on worse levels than what you're on.
Hmm.
So I absolutely agree about that. But it's good to be here today, and it's good to have our guest. Our guest is Stacy,
Stacy, the
the
black
Black
feather intuitive.
Feather Intuitive, and that's it, right?
Yes, you said it right. Hey, funny thing is, Dwayne caught this. One time I edited one of her videos and he calls me. He says, John, your video says Stacy the Black Feather. You left out the word intuitive. People are going to be very annoyed when she comes on camera and she's not black. But this is so really, I'm so ready to get to talk to her about her past and some of the things, interesting things that she did, um, and one of them relates to you. Since you are such a great singer, so I'll bring her on when you're ready. I don't know why I just took over. Sorry.
That's okay. You know what? I will say I've had a Stacy, because we spoke about this backstage, but I was a little I didn't know if I wanted to, have you on the show today. But as I began to listen to the voice of God, you're here. And I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for coming on the show. Let's give her a hand.
Hi, Lisette. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I think it sounds like we have a lot in common as humans and as women. So I'm really excited to be here and have a chat with you.
So,
You're both women? Oh my God.
Well, and there's always Keone.
and thanks, Kiani, for being here as well. You
No
know
problem.
what? Well, I was going to say, I heard that you at one time was a opera singer, and I want to know more about that. I mean,
Sure. So that was my my humble beginnings in my life, and it's kind of a funny story because I was super shy, had very little confidence, and my sister was the starlet, and she was always on stage doing all sorts of things and very bold and out there, and tons of confidence and all the rest. And she and my father auditioned for a community theater experience back home. I'm originally from Canada. I come from Windsor, Ontario, which is right across from Detroit, Michigan. And we have a great community theater community there. And so they went and they auditioned and they got a role. And I saw
wow.
how much fun they had on stage.
Mhm.
And so the next opportunity came around and I auditioned and I didn't get a part and they both got a part. And I was devastated because I was like, it took so much for me to sort of, put myself out there. But what
Right.
it did is it was a catalyst for me to say, I think I'd like some voice lessons. Like, I think I'd like to, learn about this. And very quickly into that experience, I started with Disney songs. And Little Mermaid, Part of Your World, was my next audition piece. And I ended up, after two sessions or two lessons, I ended up getting the lead in my high school musical, which actually was an operetta, and it was Agnes
Wow.
Pinafore. And I discovered my sister was very much you would love my sister's voice, Broadway, rich. She likes to scream, she likes to yell, kind of thing with her music. And I discovered that I had this full lyric soprano voice, and so I was able to kind of differentiate myself. It wasn't like trying to copy my sister or be like my sister. It was, oh, I've got this more classical sound and I've got this huge range. My sister's an alto. I would say actually more probably mezzo soprano would be a better way to describe her range. And I had this, I could sing the high notes and do all these things. And I remember listening I had this great voice teacher. Her name was Peggy. And she had this crazy, wild, bushy, red, curly hair. And she just had such a lust for life. And she was an opera singer as well. And I
Mhm.
think I fell in love with her. And then her passion for everything and her encouragement of, you can do this, just set me on a path. And I mean, within 6 months, I had decided that singing was what I wanted to pursue for my career, and go into college for it. And it was funny because I originally was going into child psychology, and I was like working in the field already at 17 and had all of the,
Mhm.
the contacts and knew where I was going. And I like to say spirit kind of directs you in unique ways. When you're busy planning your life, suddenly spirit comes in and says, oh, but wait, did you know that you could do this? And we're going
Mhm.
to throw you a little curveball to see if you can see the gift in what this shift is going to bring. And so from that point on, it was opera, and it was an incredible experience.
This is interesting because I remember when I had wanted to do my first CD, and I went and pray. I do praise and worship at my church, so I sing hard, and because I have used my vocals and sang hard all my time, all my life, I had nodules on my vocal cords.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
when I got ready to go in the studio, I could not sing any of the high notes at all. And so the doctor told me, he said, well, you're going to have to stop singing for a while. I said, but I can't. I'm the praise and worship leader. I can't do that. He said, you're going to have to. So I did. I stopped. I got his advice. I stopped singing so much and I just kind of like laid back. And as the Lord began to heal me, then, I sing higher than what I was. So I thank God for that. But I can definitely relate to that. It was a miracle. But you know what? I'm kind of interested now.
Isn't it?
Uh huh.
Isn't it funny? Both things that, well, what Stacy was saying, like if you go back during different parts of your life and say, "Hey, Keone, you're going to be in the army for 20 years," I would have laughed you off out of my room, like, "Get out of here, Keone! Did you know you were going to run a dental clinic with 32 chairs?" I'd be like, "What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense." Like we have a plan, but you still. That's why I never get upset or annoyed with my nieces and nephews when they didn't know what they want to do. I'd always tell them their mom would get frustrated. I'm like, it'll come to them.
Wow.
Yes.
It'll
So,
come.
Kiana, you ran a dental clinic?
Yeah, I ran a 33 chair dental clinic, not like the standard when you go to the dentist and there's like three dentists working in there. It was 33 chairs at 73 employees, so it's a lot of drama. But
Wow. Yeah,
That's
I bet.
awesome.
73%. My day consisted of this: knock, knock, knock. Mr. Stevens, yes, Carmilla. Mrs. Vega is talking about us on Facebook. Okay, first of all, you're 53 years old. Second of all, go to work and get off Facebook. That was my day.
Wow.
That is interesting. That's so interesting. It's amazing. It's good to know about someone and to know a little bit something that you didn't know before. That's very interesting. I'm just interested. I saw that you put in your bio that you're divine. Explain that. Explain that.
The divine. So the way that I see the world is like I am a spark of the divine, and so are you. We all come from the creator. And so it's understanding and giving ourselves permission to not see ourselves as um, less than all that we can be. I feel that the divine creator has put us on this planet to be able to explore everything that is presented to us. And it's really about the experience that we bring. We are souls embodied, we're soul aspects of the creator, of the divine. And so, from that perspective, there's no experience that is necessarily bad or wrong. It's an experience that you're having in gift to or in thanks to the creator, because the creator gets to experience so many different facets. The creator is this, big energy that goes throughout everyone and everything. And when we have these experiences, it enriches, I believe, the creator's experience as well. Why did the creator create us? Right? It's to be able to have all of these experiences and to enrich however the creator lives, whatever that sort of looks like. So I do come from a very religious background. My family is, so I was baptized Lutheran. My father was raised Roman Catholic, and through his journey, went through sort of a born again experience and has been living in the Pentecostal church for quite some time now. I think he refers to himself now as more evangelical because he sort of evolved. He and a group of his friends have created their own sort of separate church as well. So there's a really interesting combination. And then my sister and brother-in-law go to, I like to say it's the jeans and t-shirt rock band church, and my niece are being raised in that. So there's a lot of honoring of God, honoring of spirit, and big parts of the church. For me, it didn't always resonate that I had to go to a particular place in order to feel that connection. And I felt a lot of like the divinity was within me. I would receive messages, I would hear things, and I sometimes got confused that we needed like someone separate from us to be that conduit, right? To be the middleman, if you will. And so I could never really sort of make that connection. And I was taught that these things that I was receiving were bad. They were wrong. So there was a lot of real confusion for me in growing up, that I didn't feel like I was bad or wrong. I have a heart the size of Texas, right? Like, I want to help people, I want to heal people, I want to empower people, but I didn't know how to do that, and where I could fit in the sort of the structures of what I was being raised in. And
I can relate to that because I remember, when I was young as well, Stacy. God would show me visions. He would show me visions of things to come, and you know, I said, well, I would tell people, you know, and sometimes they would look at me funny, But I remember when I got into the church, the Lord He would talk to me, and sometimes people, you know, um, they feel like you have to be in a certain building in order to hear from God. But
mhm,
God talks with you when you His child. He talks with you. He speaks with you, and sometimes that can be somewhat confusing when you know that you're gifted. So I can definitely relate to that.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like that goes without saying, kind of across the board. It doesn't matter necessarily, the type of church that you go to or the general beliefs. I have experienced that there are so many similarities in all of the different religions. I
Mhm.
in this journey where I recognized, okay, I'm somehow not finding my place in, what I've been raised in. Let me go on a search. Let me explore other religions and see other points of view. And part of that was, my opera journey brought me to all sorts of different places across the globe and gave me a taste for, how other people live, other cultures, what they think, how they, sort of, and I through that process, I started to recognize it's okay to be me. It's okay. I'm receiving this information for a particular reason.
Mhm.
And the challenge then was to let go of that idea that I needed to be approved of in order to be able to, share my gifts or to kind of just be myself in a lot of ways. So it sounds like you can relate to that.
I can. I really can relate to that. Because sometimes you're not sure of whether it's from God or whether it's from yourself. So you
Yeah.
have to just think about it and let God reveal it to you. So, but yeah, I can relate to that.
I love that you said that. I talk to a lot of my clients about that very thing. I call it ego discernment
Mhm.
versus the inner guidance, the inner voice, the
Yeah.
intuition, right? That connection to source, that connection to the divinity. Is we all have egos. And the ego, I say, is often the squeaky wheel that gets the grease because it's the loudest. But
Mhm.
in stillness, you can reach God. In
Yeah.
stillness, you hear and feel and know what the answer is, what the next path is, what the vision is. But if we're not silent and still, and we've all been taught to heed that ego voice, right? I mean, it's so loud that sometimes it is confusing. It's like, I don't know now, was this an inspiration, or is this my ego telling me I'm not worthy enough, I'm not good enough? Or, who do you think you are? You shouldn't be thinking that, or you shouldn't be, attempting
Mhm.
that particular goal. So it's an art and a skill to, I want to say, really connect and discern between that
Exactly.
ego space that's within all of us and the voice of God.
That's good because Clarence Cornegay said he wanted to know whether did you was you confused about it, or he said, Stacy, did you feel it was coming from God, or were you confused? So
Yeah, great question. So I feel like what was sort of transpiring, my background, I should say there was a lot of religion in the house, but there was also a lot of addiction in the house, and there was a lot of abuse in the house. And that started, pretty much right out the gate. So there was so much confusion in general around, am I feeling safe in my environment? And I remember as a kid, it actually wasn't like the voice of God as much as I connected with this angelic
Mm-hmm.
energy, and it was an angel that was speaking to me and giving me this information. And I remember feeling whenever I would receive this information from this angelic presence, I always felt safe. I always felt that there was a solution, and I would always receive the information. I know this feels scary. I know this feels bad to you right now. Know that there is a greater purpose to this. And this is at like 3 years of age, having these conversations. And when I spoke to my family about some of the things that would come up as I got older, it generated a lot of fear. And when it generated fear, I thought, okay, this must be bad. This must not be the voice of God speaking to me or the angel. Because in the Bible, we're taught that angels are messengers. They come through and give us
Mm-hmm.
information from God, directly from God, because the voice of God is of such a high vibration
Mm-hmm.
that our human bodies can't process it.
A lot of people forget
So yes, yes. So
that.
I was told, well, like it's only God and only Jesus, and that's it. And if you're hearing anything else or receiving anything else, and by the way, you shouldn't be hearing or receiving anything, because that's also in the Bible, soothsayers. And it was never explained to me that in the Bible, prophets, that in essence, I was in sort of the same vein. And I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I'm saying that in the Bible, if my family had been able to make that comparison, I think that fear would not have been so prevalent. And so when that fear came in, I had to shut down because I wasn't safe in my environment to begin with. And now my family is afraid of me and afraid of the things that are coming out and coming true.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I knew, to answer your question, Clarence, I think I knew inside me that it was a godly energy and presence, because there was nothing but pure love that was coming through in that. But then I'm listening to these people that are taking care of me, and I'm supposed to trust and I'm supposed to obey. And they're telling me that it's bad and wrong. And so, in order for me, I didn't want to be bad, I didn't want to be wrong. And in order for me to be safe, I just shut everything down.
You know
So,
what?
Hold on, compartmentalize that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at that. You're hearing a wealth of positivity and encouragement coming from one place, and the place that it's supposed to come from was riddled with abuse, addiction, and all of that. And it's like, wait a minute. I could see as growing up as being confused. But I saw that I don't know, Lisette, if you ever saw this show, Touched by an Angel.
Yes.
I used to watch that. And I remember when they took her to court because they was trying to say she was she had a mental illness,
yeah.
and she said on the court, she goes, when we talk to God, we're normal, but when God talks to us, we're crazy. She's like, how does that make any sense, basically?
That's interesting because you know what? God does speak to us. He does speak to us. And yes, yes, yes. He has prophets and he has, and prophecies, however you want to say it, that's supposed to administer his word, his will, but he also has the Holy Ghost that
That's
lives on inside of us. And the Bible says to, as you was doing at the time, you said, but to try the spirit by the spirit, to see if they are of God. Because if he said that, that must mean that every spirit is not of God. So it's very important as Christians that we know which spirit is of God and which spirit is of not. So I can see that you was wrestling with that. You was wrestling, trying to figure out, okay, now y'all think I'm evil, but I'm trying to use my gift for good,
yeah.
So But we got to try the spirit because you
And
don't
it's,
want to operate in the wrong spirit. So go
well,
ahead.
that's, yeah, the wrong spirit or the wrong energy. And that's the thing about the world that's funny. I always say this, I was born Christian. I'm still Christian, but at the end of the day, I always say this. My uncle gets so annoyed. I said, at the end of the day, we don't know. I was like, I have friends that are amazing people and they're Hindu. They believe nothing I believe. They have their own sets of belief. I'm not here to tell them that they're wrong about their gods. That's not my job. But I just know they're really, really good people. So what am I supposed to do? I have people who are of my same religious background that aren't so good people. And then I have people that are in a different religion. You take someone like a Tina Turner, who was born and raised Christian. She did not have what she would deem a great time, and then she became Buddhist and it was the happiest time of her life. Who am I to take that away from her? I could tell her, hey, that's not the way I go, but she's happy. What I wanted to ask you was, when you were traveling the world and you were singing and you were going to different countries, because you do have a big heart and you always want to help. How was it? What's a country that you went to that kind of opened your eyes to the way the world works or how the world is?
Oh, what a great question.
I'm a great interviewer.
You are. So I think, and this could be because I spent the majority of my time, or a long length of time,
Mhm.
um, in this, was actually Italy. And Italy opened me up to so much because, first of all, it was a culture where they work to live, not live to work. So, very different from our North American approach, where everything is about what we produce and we need to produce more and we need to make more and, always work, work, work. I think the other thing was that their level of passion for life, for love, for spirit energy, for living, really living, and the experiences that are available to us, and the gratitude that they have for every single experience that they go through was so it just really helped me to, I want to say, connect to that passionate part that's always been with me but was squashed. My I hate to say it, but like my story for a long time was I'm too much or not enough, and so it was always this balancing act of just trying to blend into the wall so that I didn't upset the apple cart on, either side, and just sort of be in that space and that energy. And when I was in Italy, it was just like anything goes as long as you are embracing it and you're grateful for it, because it is a gift from source, it's a gift from spirit, it's a gift from God, however you want to quantify that. And with the singing, and Lisette, I'm sure you can relate to this as well, singing in that country, I felt, and opera is not the most popular type of music. And so there's a particular demographic that can really appreciate it. And most other people think it's ridiculous or annoying, or they just don't understand it, or, whatever the case may be. In Italy, you're so appreciated for the fact that you're singing your soul. And that was what singing was for me, is I sang, I would say there were times when I sang from my heart, but I would say more often than not, especially when I was, so I'm getting off topic here with the opera. I went into jazz as well, and I would sing from my soul. Every time you heard me sing, you were listening to my soul.
That's right.
And the Italians just really embraced and embodied that and gave me a space
Mhm.
to really start to develop some confidence in
That's
myself.
good. That's awesome, because you want to be accepted. You want your music. When I said one time on the show when I first released my CD, my first CD, I was a little shy because it wasn't like traditional gospel. It was contemporary gospel. So, and I'm saying like some people kind of rejected me. Like, this is not what we used to. I said, well, whatever. This is what I'm going to do. This is me. This is my heart, and this is me. So
Change.
I can
Change.
definitely understand that.
Yeah.
You know,
And I'm glad you did, because you know what? It's one thing to do something that's your heart and you feel that's great and people don't accept it. It's another thing to do something people will accept, but you're not happy about it. You know,
Oh,
that's
yes.
true. That is really, really true about that.
Yes, there were certain in my singing journey, there were certain songs that eventually I got to a point where I was like, I won't sing this song. I don't care how much money you offer me. I'm not going to sing this song, or I'm not going to perform this character, because it's so out of touch
Mhm.
with everything that I believe. I'm very much about equality and diversity. And, in opera, because it's been around for centuries and centuries, there's
Yeah.
so much about, the damsel in distress and
Mhm.
the disempowerment of women, being written in the scripts, and just, the discrimination that happens in
Yes.
these things. And that was actually one of the reasons why, when I took a hiatus and started to go back and went into opera, and suddenly felt that it was very flat for me. And that's when I started to explore jazz and really found my, again, singing from my soul, was that I started to recognize that a lot of this music just wasn't resonating with me. I just couldn't find and people thought it sounded beautiful. And I'm like, I remember like being on stage in this one performance that just happens to stand out to me, and people were oohing and awing, and I'm like, I just rolled out of bed and did this. I was not connected to the performance,
Right.
and I need to be connected to everything I'm doing. If I'm phoning it in, it's just not going to work.
Amen. And you know what? This is good. On the side note, I thank you, all you people out there in the
oh yeah,
chat.
here you go. D. Murphy was saying he loved your first CD, Lisette, Powerful, Your Truth, and More. Mark says, I'm Shanti. I don't know what that means, but he says peace, peace, peace. And Clarence says people often demonize what they don't understand. You know what? I'm going to segue into that because Stacy, going when I started working with you, of course, I didn't know anything about tarot. I didn't know anything psychic. Only thing I know is the Psychic Friends Network and Call Me Now, and
Right.
when
Give us
you're
all a
watching
bad name.
crystal balls, and when you watch a movie someone pull, it's always death, the devil card, and it's like, and you were the first one. I remember when you pulled a devil card one day and my eyes got big, and I was like, can you tell me what that card actually means besides what I see in the movie? Um and you were like, well, you go ahead and explain it, because
Sure. The devil card. I love talking about the devil card and the death card, because there is such a stigma to it. And really, I'm going to say to you, like, I have a deck of tarot cards here, but like, this is just a piece of paper. It's what we believe about it and the value that we place on it that brings it any kind of value or sustenance. When you're looking at the devil card is representative of shadow work. It's looking at the light. We all have the light and the dark within us, and when the devil comes up, it's saying, what areas of your life are you not maybe living your full truth with? What areas of your life are you burying your head in the sand, or where you need to dive in and do some healing work so that more of your light can shine out in the world, and that you can be, I want to say, living your full purpose in whatever capacity that looks like. The devil also can represent needing to bring a little more of the rebel in you. And often the devil will come up when you have a strong belief about something, and your belief goes against the rest of the crowd. And the devil says, okay, maybe this is a time where the crowd needs to hear this different point of view, just as food for thought. The death card is, everybody gets freaked out about the death card. Oh my God, somebody's going to die. No, it represents change. And that's what we're all here to do and experience, is evolution. We're all evolving souls, and we're all evolving in our own paths. So, that's why judgment, there's no room for judgment, because everybody's here to learn something new, to expand in their own ways. And that's why we've been given free will, to be able to take those journeys. And death is just kind of I want to say it's like the neon flashing sign to say, hey, something's coming up that you're going to want to shift, or you're going to want to change, or there's a change coming up. Just be prepared for it. How would you like to engage with this change? What kind of outcome would you like to have as a result? We are often taught that the goal is safety, stability, security, keep everything the same. But that's not actually the reality of the world that we live in. Mother Earth, planet Earth keeps changing. She goes through the seasons all the time. Everything has that birth, death, and rebirth cycle. So the tarot is just a tool like anything else. If it works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, awesome. You don't need to use it, but it's a way to, I want to say, give us a visual depiction of some of the stuff that our subconscious or our God voice and God source is trying to convey to us, whereas we normally, shut it out or tune it out, or aren't still and quiet enough to receive it.
I think the problem is tarot needs a PR person. If
Yeah.
if the devil card was the tomato card, it would make more sense. I think it's the
Sure.
word. It's the word. It's the because I and this is not me poking fun. If I'm talking to my grandmother, if you say the word devil, she's only going to think one thing. So it's not really her fault that she doesn't understand
Word
the,
association.
the
Mhm.
card. Ken says, what would you say to people who say that tarot cards are demonic? Well, I know Stacy tends to ignore them, but we're gonna, for the interview's sake, we'll give you give the answer.
Well, it's like I said, this is a piece of paper. If it's not something that it's like, I mean, I've got a book of papers here, a notebook of papers. We could attach a value to this and say this is evil, and you put that into, I want to say, into pop culture long enough, people will start to believe that. This is just a piece of paper. If it's for you, awesome. If it's not for you, let it go. It's not about attaching a meaning to it, if you don't want to. And demonic, I would say, if you really believe that there is a demonic energy out there, my belief is of such a nature that we are co-creators of our own lives. I co-create with source. I co-create with the divine. I say, what's the plan that you have for me today? And help me to be open to receiving that, and show me the next steps. Show me the right person to come into my path. Show me the right experience, the right situation. What we put our focus and intention to, we bring to ourselves. So if you are believing in demonic forces and you believe that wholeheartedly, and that's your focus, absolutely, you're going to associate a lot of different things in the world with that, because that is your belief. That is something that you're bringing to you. I also would suggest and offer that when you look back on the history of some of these things that the churches have deemed as bad or evil, when you look back on the history of it, it has less to do with the fact that it actually, this piece of paper is demonic and evil, and it has more to do with um, uh, powers that be wanting a little more control over the masses, and removing that idea that you can connect with God's source on your own. You don't need that priest or the sort of the middle person to do that. And I know this show, people might be going, I don't believe you at all.
No, 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 no. Actually, contrary to belief, there's a lot of people who watch this show that do go to church. There's some that don't go regularly, and there's some that have their own. They know about having your own relationship with God. But everything has its place. I know I went to church because there was a deacon in the church that was very good at helping me out when I was, because I struggled as a kid. Uh, the actual pastor there had no time for me, but there was a deacon there that was always on me, helping me process things and get through things. Because I don't, when you're 4, 5, 6 years old, you don't understand. 7, 8, 9, you don't understand anything. Even when you're a teenager, you think you understand it, but you don't understand anything, right? So there are people who need those, but we know with anything, even in your line, even on a religious line, humans,
Yeah.
there's just always going to be humans that steer people in the wrong direction or don't do things necessarily right, or they fall off the beaten path. I like what Dwayne said on the mashups. Oh, Lisette, the last Wednesday of the month, Stacy does a mashup with Dwayne. And one of the things someone asked him was, well, what if you get negative things from your readings? And Dwayne said, I never do. And they were like, how? He's like, I don't ask for negative influence. I only ask for positive influence. I only ask for positive things because, why would I ask for negative things?
Now this is interesting, because I know you said, Stacy, how you wake up in the morning and you say you ask for divine guidance. See, that's what I believe. That's what I do every morning. I wake up in the morning and I ask for divine guidance. And as you mentioned, I am so glad that I don't have to go try to consult God behind a curtain. I don't have to
Yeah.
do that. I don't have to do like I don't have to get a high priest to go in the throne room. I don't have to go through a high priest. I
It's
don't
in the
have to go
throne room.
through any of that to get to God because when Christ came and he died, he tore down and rose, he tore down that curtain. We don't have to go that way. And sometimes people say, "Well, I can't hear from God." Well, you got to walk closely to God in order to hear from him. It's just like if, "Hey, how you doing? What are you doing over there? I want to tell you." You're not
Right.
walking close to the person. That's why you cannot hear God. And as like I don't need the tarot card. I don't need that because
Would you
I hear from God.
would you
People that don't have that, they need to have a closer relationship with Him so they can hear Him.
do people I don't think people don't hear God, no matter what religion they're in. I don't think they don't hear their God or whoever their divine entity is, or I don't think they don't hear him. I think they don't listen. There's a difference between not hearing and not listening. How many? And you can call it intuition, you can call it God, you can call it your senses. How many times do you have that gut feeling or the sense not to do something and you do it anyway and it doesn't turn out good? Like, how many times do you have that gut feeling to do? It could be the simplest thing. Your friends want you to go out on a Friday night, and you're like, I really don't feel like going out. Something's telling me not to go out, but you talk yourself to go out, and then something happens. You get in a car accident or just something. And it's like, something told me to stay home, and I didn't listen. So my
That's
Yeah.
thing is, people just need to start listening.
I
Well,
agree.
it's
What
trusting, it's trusting the divine. It's trusting that voice. And we were talking about this earlier. It's the discernment. Is it my ego voice that's telling me I should go out, or is it the voice of God that's saying I should stay in? And
yeah.
then again, we have free will. So it's what choice you're making is going to dictate the experience that you have. And it's not a bad experience or a good experience. We place that judgment on situations, circumstances, people. But really, it's about what choice did you make, and are you trusting that inner voice? I want to just say something else, Lisette, based on what you were saying about people. You got to walk with God in order to hear God. Something else from an intuitive perspective that I would offer as well, and I run into this a lot with clients who are receiving the guidance, but they're missing the, like, is it really that's what I'm receiving, or is it my ego telling me this stuff? Because we all receive things differently. Clearly, you're clear. What I would say is you're clairaudient. You hear. So one of the senses that is really prominent for you is the vocal, or the auditory, right? The hearing. So God speaks to you and you hear that. For some people, they receive, for me, I'm clairvoyant. So I receive things like in my mind, like on a movie screen. And Hollywood tells you all the time, if you watch any of these, shows, they tell you that, oh, if you're a medium or whatever, and you talk to loved ones in spirit, you're going to talk to them just like they're right in front of you. Well, that might be true for some, but that's not true for all. And some people don't have sight, they don't have hearing, but they have smell. They receive intuition through their smell or through their knowing. There's just like you said, Kiyomi, there's a gut feeling. I just know. I don't know how I know. I just know that if I walk through that door, something unpleasant is going to happen. So my choice is, do I walk through that door or do I choose another path? And I feel like that's, to your point, it is walking with God to know how God connects with you, because we're all very individual, like the proverbial snowflake. And so, what I might see, you don't see, but you hear. What I might feel, you might not feel, but you sense it, you smell it, that kind of thing. So I think that's an important some important food for thought for people who are coming to you and saying, I don't hear God. I don't hear. Maybe it's that God's is speaking to you using a different sense, and you're being told that that's not a real thing, or you're dismissing it because it doesn't look like somebody else's experience.
This is
You know what?
interesting because there was a time in my life when I didn't hear from God, because I was not listening, like Keona said, but I did not hear him. But I'm just telling anybody out there that if you are a Christian, you have the ability, you have to hear God and to listen to God. It depends upon your relationship with Him,
Yes.
your walk with Him. You got to walk close to
And
hear.
it's also a clearer thought. So we make it sound simple, but it's not, because we all grow up and have influences in our life. So sometimes even when we hear a voice, like Stacey was saying, am I hearing the voice or am I hearing the influences that are in my head that have talked to me?
I
And
agree.
sometimes it's not clear. There was a pope that said this, and he was not very popular for saying it. He said, at the end of the day, just be a good person. And that's what I say to people all the time. At the end of the day, just do that, right? So I remember when I was working in Fayetteville, there was this lady. We were not supposed to have religious things at work, but we built a cubicle for her, and we let her put all her religious artifacts in there because that was like her peace of mind. So one day she burst into my office, and I'm like, "What's going on?" She's like, "You won't believe what happened." I said, "What happened?" I'm thinking something happened. She goes, "I was trying to get a bunch of boxes out of my car, and my deacon walked out, saw me, and turned back in the building because he worked in the same building, and walked back in. And he said, this guy in a suit came by and said, 'Do you need help, young lady?' Even though she's like 60, right? She's like, 'Yeah.' So he picked up two of the boxes and they were walking. She goes, 'Thank you. God bless you. You're such a good Christian.' He goes, 'Ma'am, I'm atheist.' And so she comes in my office, and I was like, that blew your mind, didn't it? Because she's one of those people that think if you're not Christian, you're evil, you know? And I was like,
So black and white about things.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, he's atheist. He doesn't believe in God. Doesn't mean he's a terrible person. He may not get into heaven, but it doesn't
I
mean
still
why
love
he's earth.
him. Still
Because
love
someone
him.
also said this, and I don't know to be true or not, but people have perspectives. They're like, I feel like we're souls that he puts us here to have a human experience, and then we go back.
Hmm.
Like we're souls on vacation. We're here having a human experience. So when I look at it like that, I'm like, I want to spend my days having fun and
Yeah.
being happy and excited, and that why come down here and have this experience and be miserable
Right.
and go back, So it's a lot out there. I'm all for the positivity. I've sat there, and the reason why I'm glad I actually met you is because, again, I didn't know about, and I stopped saying, because I used to say this stuff, but I kind of became more respectful. Um, I've watched people sit in front of you, and you just change their whole outlook is just negative in that when they come online, and you talk to them for 5 minutes, and it feels like they've done a whole 180. Because one of the things we always ask on there, Lisette, is because it ties into what you're saying. Even if you're religious, listening to God is, are you asking the right questions, first of all? And I think a lot of times people ask the wrong question, and that's why they don't get the right answer. And then when they don't get the right answer, it's God's not working for me, energy's not working for me, nothing's working for me because they're out there right asking the wrong questions. Clarence says, "Could it be that God is always trying to communicate with us in one?" It is, Clarence. Here's the funny thing about religion. Again, this is not me making fun of religion. I'm Christian.
Hmm.
We use terms until we don't want to use the terms. We say God talks to us in many ways, many platforms, in serious ways, but yet when He does, we say that's not. So it's like some of us don't make up our mind. Like we have all these things. Anything that's coming to you in a positive aspect, if you're Christian or whatever belief you are, you should believe that that's coming from your divine belief if it's positive. Now, if something's coming to you negative, I'm on your side. It may be the negative, evil side of the force for wherever you believe. I just don't believe that positive energy, positive thoughts, and positive thinking comes from a bad area. I think I talked longer than I intended.
Well, if I can make a comment on that to respond to you, Clarence, I do actually believe that we are always in communication with the divine in some way, shape, or form or other. And it's, again, up to us to choose to engage with that or not. And to your point, Lisette, it's about presence. Am I present? Am I being intentional about connecting with God? Am I being intentional about asking the right questions and saying, God, God, how may I serve today? How may I serve? I think Wayne Dyer used to say that all the time. How may I serve? That's how he started, every talk that he did, Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I do believe that God is in all things, and it's up to us to be open to what that is. We can go through our days completely oblivious, focused on, I don't want to say the wrong things, but focused on the everyday, the to-do list, the things that if we were to die tomorrow, we would look back and say, well, none of that mattered. And what really mattered was my connection to people, and how I interacted, how I engaged, what I made people feel about themselves, or how I tried to empower people to live their lives. And so, yes, I believe that we're always in constant communication. The question is, are we aware that we have that ability, and are we choosing it? So that I just thought that was a really interesting question.
That's interesting, Stacy. Clarence also said positivity does not come from evil. Now, that's a
Yes.
very interesting saying that he said. That's very, very interesting. He said positivity, yeah, does not come from evil. You know,
No, hey, well, you got, but like you two were saying, you got to have your eyes open because there are some evil forces out there that are very tricky.
very.
They'll give you something positive. What did they say? They dangle the carrot in front of you.
That's true.
Prime example, we keep seeing videos of people being scammed. The too good to be true thing. Somebody comes out here and gives you an offer that sounds too great, and it's so great and it's life changing, and then you realize that offer comes with a lot of stipulations. That it's almost like, remember the cartoons that would have the genies, right? Any of the
Mhm.
Oh, sure.
cartoons, and not just Land, but any of those cartoons where they did Looney Tunes, and they would always wish for something, but there was always a catch. They'd
Yeah,
always,
always
I
a
wish
kid.
for $1 million. They'd get the $1 million, but then they get arrested because the $1 million was transferred from someone else's bank
There you
account.
go. I
Right.
agree. I mean,
And the details, as they
it's
say.
it's good to be positive. I just know that God, He loves, and He wants to continue to be the God in our lives, or of our lives. And so when we put anything, it's just like, I know we was talking about. I just believe that when you put,
Oh, I forgot a question. Oops, because I know we're going to run out of time. It was an opera question. I totally forgot because we were on the opera, then we bounced to tarot, then we bounced back to opera. Um, Darn it. It was right there.
But just
Oh,
hold your
no. What was, okay, so what was the most difficult song, opera song you had to sing?
Oh God. It's been so many years since I've been in that world. I would say to you probably when I started to explore Russian opera and Russian music. And I really connect with it from that passion place because the Russian composers write with such feeling and heartache and the languaging. I'm pretty good with picking up on different languages. I don't speak any other languages, but I have a gift for being able to imitate or mimic or speak it without much of an accent. Um, and I think that was due to being raised by German grandparents in a lot of ways that used to speak German in the home when we were younger. But learning the language with a different Cyrillic and Russian music. Opera music requires like a fullness. Like you can't just sing it
Mhm.
with your throat and your chords, you got to sing it with your whole body. And I remember when I started to venture into that, it was a wow, like I'm just, gosh, what a great question. I haven't thought about this in years. It was a physical experience as well as that emotional experience and all the rest of it, that my whole body, my whole soul, my whole heart, my whole everything was into that music. So I've sung a lot of different things with different skill levels, but to answer your question, that's the first thing that pops into my head today.
Awesome. Well, Stacy, we thank you for being on. Lisette's going to end the show. Thank you for coming, interviewing us. Congratulations. This was the highest number watch live that we've had this year.
Oh wow, Lisette, that's awesome.
Thank you for
Yes. So
coming.
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the collaborations we do with you. And I will see you. I'll see you Wednesday. Um,
Yes.
and I'm stuttering right now because I just, like, as you were talking, I'm just thinking about the journey of when we started. First, and I'm just going to take a moment for both of you. The journey from which we both started with Lisette, it was meeting Lisette and going, you know what, she's got a character to her. There's something I need her to do, and I don't know what it is. So we
Ah,
started made you host of the talk show. Remember My Perspective Monday, and people were like, "Why are you making her the host? Mark should be the host. He can spit everything out." And I was like, "No, because she's gonna do something. I just don't know what. So I need her to get the practice." And then it became time. It was like, all right, she can go do her own thing. And here's the rise with Lisette, and just you know, she's just overall a great person. You didn't know you from a can of paint. All I know was a friend said, "Hey, my friend needs someone to help her with YouTube." Met you, thought I was going to go on there, run your little show, and get off. Didn't think it was going to make an impact, but I have a heart too. And watching the amount of people that I've seen both of you have helped, whether it's Lisette, the guest that she's had on, reaching out to people for domestic violence or drug addiction, and the amount of people that come to you and you kind of don't give them hokey pokiness, you give them like raw, authentic. So you two ladies are wonderful, and I'm actually glad to see you both in the same place at the same time. Stacy, will see you Wednesday. Me and Lucette are going to finish out the show. Oh,
yes. I
and
just
something before we leave.
just want to say thank you so much, Lisette. It was wonderful to connect with you, and I loved the music. And I'm going to say to you, keep singing the contemporary gospel because we are in a contemporary time. Things are changing, things are shifting, and you need to sing from your soul and your heart, and that's what people resonate with. And if they don't resonate, too bad, so sad. This is your soul song. This is
Thank you.
your contribution to the world, and I think it's beautiful. And thank you so much for having me on. Thank you,
And I
Keone.
want and I want to say to you, thank you, Stacy, for stopping by, and that God is not through with you yet. You're special. I love you
Thank,
and thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Stacy.
Hey, everybody. We had another great show with Stacy, the Black Feather Intuitive. I thank you so very much for coming. Thank you for showing on the show. Thank you for your questions, your comments. Please go out and share. Share the links with someone and just know that God loves you today. And just know that He's the God that listens. He talks and He listens. And it's kind of like Kiana said, are you listening today? You be blessed and you have a great day.